Hi, good evening. My name is Ron Hocevar, and I'm the Scott County Attorney. I'm here today to talk to you about teen sexting. Sexting in general, but specifically teen sexting. And this became an interest of mine a few years back. After I became county attorney, we saw an uptick of teen sexting cases coming into the office for pursuit of criminal charges. You might ask yourself, well, why are you going to charge kids with teen sexting? I'll get into that in a little bit, but just to start out, what is sexting? Sexting is the sending of sexually explicit material through your phone, through your computer, to somebody through your mobile phone, and it's sexually explicit material or just texting in a sexual manner. Now, texting in a sexual manner, we can't really get involved in unless it gets to the point of cyberbullying, harassment, that type of thing as a result of texting. But generally, just texting somebody, even if it's sexually explicit, is more of an issue for your parents to deal with. And like Lessa said, until it gets to that point where it's harassment. But what I'm talking about here specifically is images. And what that gets into is child pornography and dissemination and exploitation of children. And so that's what we're going to be talking about, is specifically with the pornographic images. So I'll get into the definitions a little bit later as far as what is a pornographic image, what is dissemination, and that type of thing. But this practice is causing controversy and disruption on school grounds throughout the United States. It's not just here locally in Minnesota and here in Scott County, but this is a national epidemic and crisis that teens are doing this. And the laws that were here to protect minors, they were designed to protect our kids from pedophiles. And these laws have not yet caught up with technology. Because back when these laws were made to protect our kids from pedophiles, these things didn't exist, sexting didn't exist. So here we are dealing with this issue. And some middle schools, that's right, middle schools, reported sexting as their number one behavioral problem. And there was, as an example of why this is so serious, is that because kids don't understand it. They understand that it's wrong. They understand that they shouldn't be doing it, but they don't understand how wrong. They don't understand the lifelong consequences that this can have on their life, even if they're not convicted criminally, just how much this can affect them later in life. There was a teacher in California teaching a civics class to her 8th grade students, and they were talking about sexting and how they were all doing it. And the teacher asked them, well, you know what's wrong, right? And they're like, yeah, they knew it was wrong, but they didn't know it was really illegal. And so that's where you get to trying to educate our kids and you parents as far as why we take this so serious and why I, as a prosecutor and the father of a teenage girl and soon-to-be teenage son, take it so seriously. So me charging these kids, having the police investigate these kids and me charging these kids, it's too late. At that point, they're already in trouble. Even if I decide not to pursue criminal charges against them, they've now been investigated by a detective, talked to the police, had their parents talked to by the police, had teachers and peers talked to by the police. So even if I don't pursue criminal charges, they're probably devastated socially, mentally. It's going to have an effect on their life. So by the time they get to me, it's too late. So we have to, as parents, address these issues before it gets to the point where my office or a law enforcement agency is involved. So the use of a cell phone is how this is typically done. Now we call it a cell phone, but it's not really a phone, right? It's a mini computer. I've read articles in the past that have said that this smartphone is more powerful than all the computers they use to put a man on the moon. If you're a parent, your kids, you're probably the only person that your parents talk to on it. Everything else is done through texting, through Snapchat, through Instagram. Probably us people my age and older are probably the ones that actually talk on it. So this is what we're talking about, these smartphones. And they say that 95% of US teens aged 13 to 17 have their own phone or access to one at home. 95%. And that's up 73% from a 2014 Pew report. And I'm not going to talk about where I got these stats, because I only have a limited time. If anybody wants these stats, you can contact the agency that's putting on this program, and I can get those to you. 45% of teens say they use the internet on a smartphone or computer almost constantly, and 44% say several times a day. Right now, the popular ones are YouTube, Instagram, and Snapchat are probably the most popular. If you have a teenager, you're probably very familiar with Snapchat. I think that's what they're using primarily. And I'll get into this a little bit more later, but one refrain you hear from kids on Snapchat is, well, everything disappears. For one thing, people can take a snap photo of a screenshot. There you go, screenshot of what's on their phone, and they can keep that in their personal file. And two, nothing on the internet disappears. You can delete it, they can wipe the phone, whatever, we can get it. I've had investigations where detectives get the phones, we go back, we find deleted material all the time. Things on the internet, once you put it out there in cyberspace, it stays in cyberspace, no matter how hard you try to bury it. So for many teens, texting is a major part of everyday communication with their friends, and this is how they flirt these days. Back in my day, how did you flirt? You got your nerve up as a boy. You get your nerve up, walk over to the girl's locker, and strike up some stupid conversation that you felt embarrassed about later. But you had to have a personal contact. You had to look at someone in the face. Now it's easy. You don't. They flirt with their phones. That's how they do it. And like I said before, in my day, you'd have to have a phone tethered to a wall and call somebody and actually talk to them. They don't do that anymore. This is modern day flirting. This is how our teens communicate and how they flirt with each other. And it's part of how they grow up. So what are some signs of texting? I'm trying to go quick because we have a limited amount of time. Being secretive or anxious about their phones. If you as a parent see them being secretive or anxious, it's a sign. Deleting histories really quickly. Overreacting when you pick up their phone or walk by and glance at it. What are you doing? Why do you want my phone? You might want to have a closer look at that phone. Crying, isolation, and a change in grades or behavior, which may be the result of public ridicule from exposure to sexting. Okay, a large percent of males are disseminating explicit pictures when they break up with their girlfriends. Why do people sext? A lot of times, sexting between males and females is fairly even. But I think the reasons why, I think the females, it seems from research, are a lot more peer pressured into sexting. They get a request from their boyfriend or someone that they want to be their boyfriend. Send me a nude, send me something, a sex of some sort. And they're peer pressured into doing it because they want to be liked by that boy. They want to keep that boy. When they break up, no matter what the assurances are by that boy that, no one else will ever see it, guess what? The hockey team sees it. The football team sees it. Somebody's going to see it. So peer pressure is probably the number one thing. There's an opening line from an article on sexting. It says, if you aren't sexting anyone these days, you clearly aren't part of the cool crowd. Everyone is doing it. And this is what our sons and daughters are reading in magazines. Everyone is doing it. If you want to be part of the cool crowd, you will do it. So like I said before, most kids know that sexting is wrong and can have negative social and legal consequences, but most don't know how wrong it really is. Here's what the law is. For state of Minnesota, here's what the law is for minors. And I talked about the child pornography laws being written before all this technology. And these were designed to protect our kids from pedophiles, from people that are trying to get our kids to do salacious things. One's the use of a minor. It's illegal to use a minor in a sexual performance. That's manufacturing. It's illegal to possess child pornography, and it's illegal to disseminate child pornography. So this is how this could work. You have a friend, you have a 16-year-old girl and her 16-year-old girlfriend. One takes a picture of the other of a sexual nature that would fit this definition of child pornography. The person who took the picture is guilty of creating child pornography. The person whose phone that is in possession of child pornography. As soon as she sends it to her boyfriend, she's now guilty of disseminating child pornography. When that boyfriend gets it, he's guilty of possessing child pornography. He sends it to his group, he's now guilty of disseminating child pornography. So you can see how that circle will quickly build and build and build and build. you could have a situation where a male or a female juvenile could be standing in front of a mirror doing their own picture and then sending it out. They could be guilty of possession, dissemination, and manufacturing. All felonies, 3 convicted felonies, up to 10 years in prison, 7 years in prison on some. And those will have lifelong consequences. And like I said, it will affect them forever. That does not disappear. We've had situations where a pornographic picture of a minor has showed up back on the internet 7 years later after they thought it was gotten rid of. Someone Googles that person's name, they're applying for a job, they're applying for college admission, that admissions counselor puts in their name, all of a sudden here comes a picture of them nude in some compromised position. Do you think that person's going to let them in their college? Probably not. Do you think that boss is going to hire them for that position? Probably not. These are the lifelong consequences I'm talking about. And these are in addition to what can happen to these kids in school or just in their social life when they're in school. Because once that information gets out, once that ex-boyfriend starts disseminating that and people start talking in school, I'm using the female as a victim here because that's typically how it goes, unfortunately. But then that female starts getting ridiculed by other people in school. They start getting harassed. They start getting cyberbullied. We've had issues where these girls will commit suicide. They go into complete isolation. It has a huge negative social impact on these kids that they might never recover from. And that's in addition to the legal consequences and the long-term issues that I just talked about before. So that's why this is such a serious issue. And that's why parents need to take this seriously. And you have to have these uncomfortable talks with your kids about this, about sexual exploitation, about pedophiles, about cyberbullying, about these individuals, not only kids. I was going to get into this later, but I need to just go kind of quickly here. But we've had several instances here in Scott County where adults on the internet are trying to get kids to engage in sexual activities with them. You might have even read just 2 days ago, there was a tennis coach from a Catholic high school here not in Scott County, but in Minnesota, that was just arrested because a girl came out that said that a few years ago he was kissing her neck, touching her inappropriately on her buttocks and her thighs, on her private areas. He got arrested. And there's also allegations that as part of that, he was sexting her. He sent her pictures of his genitals. He was requesting pictures back, which fortunately she did not do. But he was the head tennis coach at this Catholic high school, and he's now arrested. So it's not only the kids, but these adults that we have to warn our children about and take an active interest in what they're doing on their phones and educate them that it's not just wrong because your dad says it's wrong. It's wrong because you could go to prison. You could be cut off from your friends socially. You could completely jeopardize any future you have in whatever field you want to go into. So that's why it's really important for you as parents. And I try to follow my own advice, and it's hard, I get that, to grab my daughter's phone and say, who are you talking to? What's on here? But having this phone, I'm sure most of your parents are probably paying for it like I am. It's not a right, it's a privilege. And you have every right to pick up your minor child's phone and look through it and see what's on it anytime you want to. They're going to get mad at you. They're going to put up a fuss. Deal with it. It's our job. So I'm going to stop there. So thank you for your time. I am available. If anyone has questions, you can reach out to the organization. They will put you in touch with me. I'm more than happy to talk with you further, provide any further information that you might want. Come and talk to your organization, whatever the case may be. But it's that important that I think we need to get that word out. So thank you.